We going live early. All right. Tuesday, Monday, I think in the United States, or still is Monday, Tuesday in Australia, Tuesday night in Australia, and Tuesday morning in Europe and most of the rest of the UK and all those places. Welcome back. It has been a very strange week in news. This time last week, we were talking Microsoft, the divestitures and everything else. And we've gone straight through that. A lot of the news is just kind of like cycled through in a very interesting fashion. A lot of good reporting, a lot of jumping the gun reporting, but like journalists out there, it's a hustle. Like sometimes you don't get your third or fourth source, or you go ahead with what you know, and that's the way it happens. It can be unfortunate, but that it's someone's job. It is everything of that matter. So seeing as Sony are still not responding to any feedback or elements about their disc games, we're going to continue with what I'd like to call disc-based gaming. So I've got the Elder Scrolls Morrowind on disc, Hunter the Reckoning, which I played last week, still in here. I've got a save game, continuing to go through that. But another game that was disc-based and was an original OG Xbox title, Geometry Wars, which was included with Project Gotham Racing for the original Xbox. Unfortunately, that game is not backwards compatible because there is a lot of licensed music in it. But Geometry Wars is still that little secret game, and it was so fucking good that I figured just chilling out, playing a little bit of that, and really going through the surprising element about how I honestly, like for me, I thought a lot of the news when it came to the disc-based issue would cycle out in time, not in that I don't think people have the kind of guts to keep with it, but just that there would be the drag that occurs with every little bit of news that comes through with it. It can never be as consistent as you would hope. And it runs in such a manner that you end up with fatigue. You become desensitized to news. Like ask any Xbox fan out there, and they will definitely tell you that it feels like any news for Xbox, bad news after bad news after bad news, you will feel that you get very disconnected. You get numb to it because you're like, oh, again, another rake, another rake, another rake. And I thought that would happen with the disc issues. Also, interesting note for Bizarre Creations. Bizarre Creations, obviously bought by Activision, I believe, in 2008. And all of their titles, that's why Project Gotham Racing never went past PGR 4. Microsoft holds the rights to that still. But they were actually a 1.5 or a second party developer for Sega when the Dreamcast came out. So Metropolis Street Racer, Fur Fighters, which I actually have a Dreamcast. Let's see. I think I might be able to point it out here if I go to this. Just up here somewhere, I've got a Dreamcast in box. It's actually still in its box. And I have disc copies of Metropolis Street Racer and Fur Fighters. At some point in the future, I think I might actually play them. But Bizarre Creations bought out by Activision. and they did another car series of games, but it didn't work out in the manner that they hoped. So what had occurred was they were basically closed down. They weren't divested. It was they got closed the fuck down and that's it. Which sucks because, you know, Bizarre Creations, fantastic developer. But a lot of the key talented staff that from Bizarre Creations then went on to become part of Playground Games. So I figured, if anything, just chill and play some games that you would play on disc. Now, yes, this is a digital copy from the Xbox store that was given away, but I tried setting this up and booting up the original Xbox. Unfortunately, the HDMI connector that I have for this setup didn't work as well as I'd hoped. That I was going to try and actually make it hook up, run the HDMI and play the original Project Gotham Racing and then play Geometry Wars inside of that off disc. Problem being was when I did actually manage to get Project Gotham Racing running, the flagging for all of the copyrighted music actually did start causing issues for me. So it kind of sucks, but you know, I think that's a if I can't do it the way that I'd hope, I'm glad I at least managed to do this just to be able to play. And I managed to survive the first black hole. Always good. So yeah, I will admit the whole disc, the physical disc issue has shocked me in how quickly it has become a key point that people are not willing to let go of. Like, honestly, if physical discs matter that much, damn it. If physical discs matter that much, it is an absolute element. Don't let anybody tell you how you should be engaging with games or buying them or playing them, because I think there's a lot of people out there who didn't grow up rich, and the GameSpot or I think it's GameSpot or GameStop. For us here in Australia, it was EB Games, or obviously for UK watchers, game stores and everything else. Buying pre-owned copies of games was the only way that you could afford them, or trading in your old copies of games was the only way that you'd be able to afford a brand new title, because you could get it just a little bit later, like maybe a month or two later, and you'd be able to get it for 20, 30, maybe even $40 cheaper. It's always it's always those little pink ones that get me. So the fact that it's become so, damn it, I'm really not good at these games. The interesting part, I suppose, is that while digital is the format for a lot of people, convenience is kind of key part. I suppose there's one aspect where, while I am a digital purchaser, I'm one of the kids who, like, I don't know if I've actually told my story of like how I got my consoles and everything as a kid. The Dreamcast came out in Australia in March 23 of 2000, I think it was, maybe. I know that it was 2000. It wasn't 1999, as that was the American release, and I think we were just after the European release of the Dreamcast. In the year 2000, my father family had a business, and it was a sheet metal business, and for everything that I could do, it was I didn't really have the ability to go and work work an after school job because both my parents worked. So, I had a younger sister to take care of, and there's homework. I never did homework, but there was homework and things to do. So from there, I had to work the entirety of 2 weeks of school vacation. So what is considered our kind of spring break, a 2 week period, last 2 weeks of September. So I spent that entire week, or those entire 2 weeks, at my dad's workplace, working from 6 a.m. until 4 p.m. every day, 5 days a week, and basically making the equivalent of $5 an hour, which was that's what he offered to pay me, because he was paying me out of his pocket. I was wanting to earn money, and he was like, well, I'm not going to put you on the books. Like, you're a kid working 2 weeks. Like, that's a massive cost to a business. So from there, he went, okay, well, you do this work and you don't complain about it. 2 weeks, you will earn enough to buy a Dreamcast. And that's what I did. Oh, God. It's really hard telling stories while trying to avoid death, neon death at every angle. So I did it. Those entire 2 weeks, I worked the same hours as anybody else who, like, people who were working. This was their job. This was their income, their mortgages and everything. I'm doing the same hours as all of them. Oh, damn. I should have used the clear thing. I keep forgetting about that. I'm just, yeah. I should just stop. And with that, I did the time. I got the, I earned the money, and that was, well, that was also what just happened there. I got absolutely hammered in the game. Actually, I think I can. Yeah, you can actually go back and look at the achievements. I never really got many achievements in this. Yeah, 10 by multipliers, 9 lives, 9 bombs. First 60 seconds of the game without firing. Oof. Yeah, I don't... I know what I'm good at, and I'm not good at any of those achievements. So yeah, with all of that, I got a Dreamcast, and a few weeks later we got robbed. Another physical game here as well. It was annoying, but for that Dreamcast, I paid for everything. I got a Dreamcast, an extra controller, and a copy of Sega Rally 2. And yeah, it was then stolen. Our house was broken into. It was stolen, which sucks. And all right. Ooh, yeah, we actually did level up the Avenger a little bit. All right, we're gonna go with him. So, oh no, now I forgot where we were up to. There we go. All right, remembering the right buttons. So that Dreamcast, like, I had it for 2.5 years. Actually, one of the kind of reasons that, or one of my kind of key gaming memories that still exists with me to this day is actually the Dreamcast was the first time I'd ever experienced online gameplay. Now, we didn't grow up with a PC at home. PCs at my dad's work, and I'd go in there, and that's how I played Half-Life. Weekend by weekend, having to uninstall and reinstall the game and copy across the save games so that I could keep playing from where I got up to. I think it took me about three and a half months, because it's like I'd get to play it for maybe 2 hours or so, and then it like, oh, okay, done all of these things. We're heading home, so then have to uninstall the game and put the copy onto a floppy disk and keep that with me until the next weekend, where I could reinstall it and put that save game back there and continue on from where I left off. But getting that Dreamcast and working that amount of time, that period of 2 weeks, like anyone else, to be able to afford it, because like for anything, my parents were paying a mortgage and everything else, and this is late 90s, early 2000s in Australia, and mortgage payments are serious shit. And running your own home, running your own small business, there's a lot of money that you end up having to spend just doing that yourself. So I learned from a pretty young age the only way I could kind of get these things was to work for it and buy it myself. Now, that Dreamcast, I ended up having a collection of about, I think, roughly about 30 games, and a a Dreamcast keyboard to be able to play in Phantasy Star Online and be able to chat type with friends. And all of my friends actually had the keyboard, so we would be playing that game and chatting away, like in a sense, while a lot of people were using ICQ and later MSN Messenger and all of those things, I was sitting there chatting away with my friends on a 56K modem on the Sega Dreamcast, playing Phantasy Star Online. And in a sense, my section ID from that game tattooed on my shoulder. That's what it means to me. But the part of this is actually about the idea of the physical games. Now, when the Xbox came out in Australia, it was March 23, 2002. Let me double check. Xbox release Australia. The original. Hold on, it's probably going to have to be OG Xbox Australia release. Yep, March 14th, 2002. Now, at this point, I did not have enough earnings to be able to just go, okay, yep, I'm going to buy one of these straight out. So I had to trade in consoles and games. Oh, what the hell? Get out of here, you blue freak. And of course she sounds like a strangled bat. So I had to trade in copies of games. Monsters drop keys. There we go. Great piece of knowledge for life. Monsters drop keys. So I had to trade in my Dreamcast and games and other bits and pieces at a local EB Games to be able to then afford the Xbox. Now, the original Xbox in Australia, I believe, came out at, I think it was 650 AUD. Now, because it had launched 3-4 months later than it had in the United States. The United States, it was, I believe, the 14th of November 2001, which obviously Um, or 23rd of November 2001. Because there's the very, very famous story of Robbie Bark having that they had flown into New York City to kind of get ready for events and everything else, and 9/11 occurred, and they had to drive from New York City back to Seattle because obviously all the planes were grounded due to 9/11 occurring like a few days earlier. So I handed that console in. I gave in a whole bunch of games to be able to afford the Xbox. And I don't regret it, but since then, like a lot of other consoles and bits and pieces, I tried to put into storage and hold on to, not to hand off to any, kids or anything else, but it's like my own collection and elements. But there's some of those games that I just kind of regretted handing over because the memories and elements that came along with it, and just the idea of you actually bought games and had collections, and you'd go around to a mate's place and it would be, oh my god, you've got this or you've got that. Like, oh my god, you've got Resident Evil Code Veronica on the Dreamcast, or you've got Blue Stinger. That's a terrible fucking game, but you've got it. And interesting element tying back to Geometry Wars was I had my Dreamcast, and obviously for games and everything else, a lot of, like, back in those days, it was having a subscription to gaming magazines, and they were key in finding out what sort of games were coming out. And back in the day, gaming discs, the demo discs that came on those magazines were fantastic because you would get to try all of these different things. Even Xbox, I believe the official Xbox magazine had demo discs with it for some period of time. Not all the time, but there were quite a few issues that I remember there being, like, demo discs, like a small little section of Halo CE was playable. I do not know, or I do not believe that the oh no, I think it was the Xbox in Australia actually did launch, and it had a demo disc for a couple of games. Similar to how the old consoles, like, if anybody remembers buying a PlayStation, you got the demo disc in there, which was, things like 1 track 3 laps of Wipeout, which I remember selling a lot of fucking copies when the PlayStation came out, because it used to be that element. But in a sense, a lot of the physical games that you'd buy would just be these big, broad collections. But nowadays, there isn't that element anymore, because the physical collections don't exist, and a lot of people, not out of a bad thing of everybody has pushed you to digital, but we have to kind of remember, in a sense, that there is a cool thing about being able to go back to a drawer behind you and pull out a disc copy of Unreal Tournament and a copy of Sonic 3, and Sonic 3 for the Xbox, or for the Mega Drive, and Sonic 2 for the Master System, which I remember getting as my birthday present for my birthday in, I believe it was 1993 or 94. I cannot remember which year. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2 obviously is a lot worse game on the Master System than it is on the Mega Drive. Mega Drive was where everybody was playing. As I said, not that our family was poor, but we didn't have money in a sense to be able to throw towards those things because they were prohibitively expensive, especially here in Australia. So I was quite happy playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Master System, and I was none the wiser. But again, just in the stack of goodies that's in the drawer here, got a whole bunch of PlayStation 4 games here, all disc copies, because these games, so let's run through them. Neo 1 and Neo 2, both pre-owned. Yakuza Like a Dragon, Octopath Traveler 2, Lost Judgment, Nier Automata, The Original Judgment, Tales of Arise, Lies of P, Elden Ring, and Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion. All of these games on the PlayStation 4, when they released, or even buying them digitally now, Lost Judgment, Australian $50, Nier Automata $40, Judgment $50, Tales of Arise $60, Lies of P $60, Elden Ring $90, Yakuza Like a Dragon $60. All of these games, as pre-owned disc copies, cost me about $15 each. Some of them are pre-owned, and some of them were heavily discounted on sale through EB Games, where you can buy them online and have them sent to your home. A disc copy, throw it straight in your PlayStation or whatever, and go for it. The ability to do that is what I absolutely respect about the PlayStation community right now, and gamers everywhere going, don't remove discs. Because it is a really simple element of customer choice. That if somebody wants to go digital all the way, then that's cool. I'm a digital person. But still on occasion, if there's a game where I'm like, oh, that's, I really like that game. Like, I'm kicking myself I didn't get that physical version of Pentiment that I think came out from Limited Run Games, or one of the or a special edition that was done for Pentiment, I believe, because I played it in 2023 rather than when it came out in 2022. Just backlog. Like, I didn't jump into it and play it when it came out. I was like, oh, maybe later something. I'll play it later. And when I did, it was fucking fantastic. Chainsaw. Yeah. There we go. There we go. Chainsaw. Best way to go around. Okay. And this blue bastard. Because everybody knows that chainsaw works fantastically on ghosts. Ghosts known for being very, very malleable to chainsaws. So being a kid without much money and having utilizing the ability to go, okay, I don't have, because here's the reality of prices in Australia. Everybody goes, oh, $60 games. We have been paying $100 for brand new games for a very long time. When it comes to all of the digital formats, and even Xbox are guilty of this, they're not getting away from me on this. $100 games for brand new titles on digital formats generally. So that's the price that we're paying. But if you've got physical copies or pre-owned copies at your local GameStop or EB Games or anything else, okay, it might be $110 for that game when it comes out. Somebody brings it in, trades it in, say 3 weeks later, they will give that person probably maybe $50 for it, and they're going to sell it for $90. They're making a $40 mark. They're making $40 on it, but that $10 that I'm saving in buying this pre-owned a few weeks later, that $10 means a lot. And for a lot of people out there, it's how we got started in gaming, because it's the aspect of the generational changes that have occurred. We got used to physical, and it was the way that we stretched our dollar further. But since COVID, that dynamic flipped, because it, like, think about, we had lockdowns in Australia that pretty much started occurring, or work from home started occurring for a lot of businesses and everything else around, I believe it was May 20th. I know I can work this out, because if I look for the date that Doom Eternal released, because the 19th of March. Okay, so I know that the lockdowns occurred in Australia around that period of time, because just before the lockdowns occurred, my partner had actually taken a week or two off in the lead up and inclusive of the time that Doom Eternal launched, because she loved Doom 2016 and was like, I am taking time off work to play this when it launches. And as she's getting ready, the game is about to come out, and then her bosses call her and go, hey, we know you're on holiday, but you're going to have to jump into this call because we're having to do work from home protocols. It's like, okay, well, I suppose you can walk me through it now, but I'm still off for 2 weeks. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. You're still off for 2 weeks, but this stuff is going to change. You need to have this at home set up and so on and so forth. But what occurred from there isn't that gaming got popular. Gaming became more accessible for people because we all had time. We had time up our sleeves. We had an excess of time. But because of because people were buying consoles, there was the massive push for gaming as something to do, because we couldn't go outside, couldn't do all of those bits and pieces. But people were able to very easily purchase and use digital games. Oh, wait. We're missing a key. Come on, Kaylee. What are you doing? You're meant to be helping me. You little girl, why aren't you beating up the zombies as well and finding these keys for me, huh? But what people did over COVID, obviously, is just go, oh, well, I've got a console here, and I can just digitally download these games. So they didn't have to buy physical copies for any of this stuff. The only things that they were getting kind of sent in from Amazon or any delivery service was just this love of fucking God. Was just, food, essentials, bits and pieces like that. But you couldn't go down to a local GameStop and grab yourself a pre-owned copy of, Yakuza Like a Dragon or anything. It was just how things were. And the digital formats made it easier for people to then engage with. But I think much like the correction that is occurring now with gaming that happens from the simple point of, oh, we've overinvested in gaming. We thought the good times would keep on rolling, and they haven't. So now we have a correction in the industry, is what it is. We're now having a correction that is assuming that digital formats and customer choice are just hand in hand. People use this because it is the easiest and most convenient possible element. While that is true, the moment that you take away choice from a customer, you need to be able to balance the scale in the customer's favor again. If you are going to define them and bring them into a format and just go, this is the only way to purchase our products, this is the only way to get it, such as Apple's App Store, the Google Play Store, or anything else where they go, no, these are the requirements for what we have and what you're able to get, and all of these things, you need to just make sure that the customer feels like they're getting heard and that they're getting respected and they're getting the better part of the deal. Now, the message seems to have fallen apart in the sense that a lot of people have gone, oh, okay, you're going all digital. That's fine. But people know that going all digital, the console manufacturers, the console platforms make more money per digital purchase. So they make more money, but the games aren't getting cheaper. So if they're making more money and it's more profitable for Sony, then why should the gamers be celebrating that unless digital games are going to go from 70 USD per title? Or I wish Turtles was here because he'd be able to tell me what it is in pounds. I think it's 60 quid, 60, like 59 quid, 60 euros, 70 USD. And here in Australia, it can be 100 to $120, depending on the version of the game. Okay, that's everyone. Can we get into the fucking church? Gotta get the... Of course, you want me to beat up more of these bloody golems. So, with that, if it was, we are no longer doing discs, but with the phasing out of physical copies of discs happening in 2028, we will be making price adjustments, brand new titles purchased in the digital format for the Sony consoles will be X dollars instead of Y dollars. So let's say it goes, okay, games will go from 70 USD to $62 USD or $60 USD, back to the pre-COVID kind of, the pre-COVID price bump that occurred, which was when games went from 60 to 70. It then means that, okay, you're making more because we're buying it all digitally and you're getting a better slice. You're getting a better slice 30% of 60 instead of having physical copies where you're making less. Absolutely understandable. But I don't know. I feel if anybody has a different opinion, feel free to chime in. But I'm wondering if the kind of break-off that occurred is just because it's not the idea of going digital solely, but it feels like because it's being made as a singular choice that is the only way forward, but there's no balance to the customer side. The customers aren't being rewarded. It's There's not the, oh, well, we're doing this, so we're going to improve prices. We are going to, uh, you know, any copy of a game that you buy for a PlayStation 5 will absolutely work on the PlayStation 6, where we're announcing backwards compatibility. We will have a disc to digital platform or option, or we're going to have a gaming with passion. Hello, how are you? um, the for Sony, it is a strange way to continue that discussion without helping the customer feel like they are getting. You've always got to make sure that your customer feels that every dollar they spend is respected, and that not only that it is respected, but they're desired, they're wanted. I am having a great stream. Just kicking along. Although, for you, for you, how do you feel about the whole Sony, like the fact that they're still getting absolutely, I think the best comment would be fucking dogpiled on, for the disc announcement, the January 2028 disc announcement. Do you feel it's rightfully so that it's perfectly fine people are dragging them and they should? Do you feel it's a bit disjointed? How do you feel on that idea of not having the option of physical media being something that Sony's actually going to deal with anymore? Oh yeah, mutant teddy bear. Yeah, because I did say earlier in the stream, it's surprising in a sense that I didn't think the kind of fervor around it being the issue it is would have continued this long. I'm honestly shocked. Don't think so. Gaming and Passion in the Twitch chat, I don't think they'll change anything because they know that they'll be making more money without discs. Absolutely. The strange part to that is while they're making more money without discs, do you feel that it's a short-term PR hit that they're willing to take because it's almost the, well, we're Sony, where else are you going to go? Like, somebody brought it up a while ago of, is this the return of arrogant Sony? And I think to a degree there is that right now with Sony. I don't think Sony have outlived many other errors that they've made, discussion points or anything else. They've kind of worn the shit sandwich on a lot of topics, issues, and things that they've done that people haven't liked. But this almost feels like it's pushing past that point to a new realm where people are unwilling to let them go. Whoop. Nope. Ah, killed. The bear got me. Although I think... Oh, wow. Just a straight kick. Okay, so Gaming with Passion, they'll lose customers, but they will make way more money without discs. I'd say they're willing to take that hit for now. It's absolutely. You are dead on with that, because they will, especially with how quickly the casual gamer will take on news. for people invested in a platform, I always think the casuals are underrepresented, or that that people don't consider them. You need to hit them in the pockets hard for them to respond. Yeah, like I do wonder. I don't hope for any game to fail, and I don't want to see anything bad happen to them. Obviously, I would be shocked if Wolverine sells any less than the millions that it's expected to so quickly, because I don't think that there will be that the hold the line crew as it is. I don't know that the players out there, the people who are responding on Twitter, are actually going to not play Wolverine. That they will go, oh yeah, I'm not buying it digitally. I'm going to buy it on disc, and I'm going to make sure that they see that I've bought it on disc, and I'm only for physical only. But you're not really it like I don't know how you feel on it, but would it not be a strange element to go, oh well, I'm showing my power by not buying it digitally. I've bought a physical copy. You've still bought the game, and you've handed over the money. If you're buying a copy of Wolverine, whether it's digital or physical, ultimately it's not really going to matter to them. Like, do you think it would change? Do you even think it's going to be a blip? Because I would question whether it would even show up in the I believe it's the UK physical market. Markets do listings every week, every month. Christopher Dring usually does them for the game business. I don't know that we'll really see it even touch on that, because I don't think it would really capture, because it wouldn't well, I don't know. It's a tough thing to say, because they're there's always risks, but I think Wolverine's such a strong IP. Insomniac is such a strong platform, and regardless of anything that's happening out there, how you balance those things, I'm not sure that I would ever be certain or capable of working it out. It would be, I will admit, I would be absolutely shocked if Wolverine sells anything less than the probably couple of million copies it's going to sell immediately within the first 3 days of release. I think there might be a balance towards physical, that some people, put their money where their mouth is and go, no, we're all standing behind physical. We need to support this. I think that'll be great, but I'm not sure that it will. Oh, need to change the game in Twitch. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me on that. I'm still trying to get used to all of this. Bang. I think that updated. Let's see. It updated. Thank you for thank you for giving me the heads up. I will admit, still a noob at all of this. Oh no, I'd have to do it for YouTube as well. And it is not easy to do. um, okay. So we celebrate by playing. I think it saved. We shall see. If it didn't, then someone on YouTube's just going to be like, he says he's playing Hunter the Reckoning, but this is a really weird copy of Hunter the Reckoning. Looks a lot better than I remember. I do wonder a bit whether those certain elements would balance out in a tangible way. I don't. I think there's one thing that can be very dangerous is underestimating how quickly what can be seen as a fringe issue becomes part of mimetic culture. Like people thought that the idea of this is kind of telling of my age, how people thought that there was such this groundswell. I need to get back to work. Enjoy the stream. No problem at all. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope that while you're chilling out at work, that it's a nice, relaxing, easy day. That's the most important thing. Hopefully no stress. And thank you for dropping by and saying hello. I really do appreciate it. I do wonder how on the more general element, it's been, I think it's been listed as, say, 8-9 days that since Sony has basically made their position known, but there hasn't they haven't spoken any further on the issue. Now, obviously, when previous issues came up, the PS3 Vita store being originally listed as being taken down, it took them about 2 weeks to respond and state, okay, we're leaving those stores up, and we will respect those purchases, and everything's good. Stop crying. But those sorts of things do seem to be a holdover. They were Jim Ryan era, and as much as people go that he didn't respect the players, I think he did. He was willing to put himself in a position where he pushed hard against the established ideals of we must be held back by the past. And he tried in maybe a clumsy way to push towards the future. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just, if you're going to do it, you kind of want to do it with a respectful hand. You don't want to absolutely like kick people in the teeth and just go, no, you're idiots. Like, who wants to play a 20-year-old game? Like, the reality is now, because a lot of the franchises that we're playing these days do have their original releases or previous variations or spiritual successors to, are from the generations that we've just played, or potentially even generations before. There's always that need or that want to be able to just go back with as fewer headaches as possible, to just go back and touch something and go, oh yeah, that's right, there's this. Oh, I can just do this, play it. Oh, okay, cool, no problem. The wish and the want to have every purchase respected is a very tough thing, because it's such a hard thing to do. Like even 20 Degree, like, a lot of people don't remember that it was uh, it was a bit of a push when I believe, I cannot remember which version of the Game Boy when it got upgraded that didn't support the previous. I cannot remember if it was the I think it was that the Game Boy Advance did play Game Boy games, but I think the Game Boy Advance SP or the DS, one of those didn't allow you to play the original Game Boy games, but it would allow you to play Game Boy Advance games. So that it kind of had, in a sense, it had some backwards compatibility, but not everything. And people were initially upset, but then the Game Boy Advance SP and every other variation of the console then started creating like really interesting new titles that kind of changed expectations for what games could be. Sometimes you do kind of need to kill your darlings a little bit, but they're always a tough thing. You have to balance not only about what you're offering to the customer, but that expectation. If you're just going to go, no more discs, all of your physical copies of games no longer work, unless you've bought them digitally, that still just stings. And I will say, Jez Corden did an article about the idea of the Xbox Positron, which was the system for creating disc to digital licensing. So the idea being, if you have a physical copy of a game, such as Saints Row 2 here, with the original 360 disc here, that there is a digital disc ID, unique identifier on this and other series titles, or sorry, Xbox One and series titles. I think there is a unique digital ID. The idea being, you put that into an Xbox console, and that disc then uses that identifier to create a digital license that has been generated from that disc. That then gets applied to the account that is using the console when that copy of that game is put in and installed. The idea from there being that you would then be able to have copies of your physical games on your digital console that are applicable. But if you took this copy and you gave it to your friend and they put the disc in their console, then the digital license would be removed from your account and applied to their account because they have the disc in hand. That could be really fucking cool and a great way to help people bridge the digital divide without creating a overly complex system. The idea of still having your copies of your games, but just putting the disc, it goes in. That would be amazing. And I think that would very much bring a lot of people back on side. But it is still one of these what ifs. I don't know anything about it, but from what I have heard, it sounds very cool. And I will admit, if that's the case, then I think I might just do a stream for a couple of hours where I just go through every single 360 game that I own, an Xbox One physical copy and series copy, and I would put them into my console and tie those licenses to my account just to be able to go, okay, so here's how many games I have, and here's all of my physical copies. It would seriously be stacks around me. And then we go and we put them all into the Xbox and just see how many games are digitally tied to my account from that point on. It would actually be very interesting. So the only kind of last thing, because it's a bit quiet. Oh, we've got we have some spam is what we have. Somebody deny. We will deny that person. Just a spam person. Best of luck to you, spam person. Appreciate you, but I don't want a view bot. I have 2 viewers, and I'm happy with that. So the kind of final topic, in a sense, while I'm just kind of like chilling out in Diablo, is now this story did come to me. I'm very skeptical on it, but I looked at the sourcing for this news story, and it's a very interesting element. So I'm just going to bring this up on here. All right. So this is from Destructoid, and the article titled Sony's own bank, yes, really, is about to introduce a crypto coin to let you buy PlayStation games. So this is the kind of leading line. Sony's own bank, a subsidiary of Sony Group's financial division, have apparently cleared the US office of the comptroller of the currency, the OCC's hurdles, and is about to introduce a stablecoin. That a stablecoin is specifically a cryptocurrency pegged to the US dollar's value. That you will be able to spend on PlayStation to avoid credit card purchases. This is according to Yahoo Finance, which wrote that Sony Bank and has secured conditional approval from the OCC to establish a national trust bank, which will give them the ability to issue its own dollar-backed stablecoin. The bank aims to start operating with this cryptocurrency in 2027, as it still has a few remaining conditions to meet before everything is approved. Fair enough. Because I know a little about cryptocurrency insecurity, we tend to not want to deal with it because it is a very volatile and strange thing. And while there's ways to be secure about it, not really my field. So I know enough to understand it, but not enough to play around with it. The risks kind of come in a sense with the rest of the story here. Sony Bank explained that as far back as last December, it wants US customers to use a token to pay for digital content across Sony's ecosystem, potentially allowing direct purchases that would avoid the cost of credit card fees. Now, obviously, credit card fees can range 1 to 3% on every transaction through clearance systems, and that is taken by Visa. So that's 70 USD or 69.99 USD, 1 to 3% of that purchase amount is skimmed by Visa or MasterCard or Amex or whomever before that rolls through to you. It's the little bits, it's the margins, the little bits of money that you need to control to be able to try and keep your platform healthy. You are trying to hold on to every dollar that you make. This obviously would allow them to avoid that. This could be a US thing only, though, since it has the legal framework created by the Genius Act last year that allows USD-pegged stablecoins to exist in the first place. I believe that's a Trump second term system or piece of legislation or executive order that they signed. Again, Australian. I don't know American politics, but, you know, it kind of is what it is. How this is to be implemented on PlayStation or Crunchyroll, Sony's chief entertainment businesses, remains unclear at the moment. You can bet your bottom dollar that they would put it onto Crunchyroll because they have a monopoly in the in the US manga and anime market. If other countries around the world start following in the US's footsteps, then we could possibly start seeing an expanded version of this stablecoin trend, allowing users around the world to purchase from PlayStation, even if they are regionally blocked from engaging in credit card purchases. That's the key. With the markets out there that they have some issues in dealing with, especially when it comes to currencies, they don't have a LLC, or they don't have a business that operates in that region who can then be the receiver of those funds and to allow that transaction. If people are then able to purchase a digital currency on, through 7-Eleven, like buy 50 PlayStation coins, and those PlayStation coins are linked to USD in value. So that would allow you to buy a 59 or 49.99 USD title on the PlayStation Store using coins that you're able to get in your own country without then having to convert your own currencies to that. People from non-PSN countries who are at the moment banned from buying from the PS Store using their own local cards could be given the chance to partake in Sony's planned all-digital future. If that does turn out to be the case, then Sony will have really been playing, will have really played us good by creating the environment, i.e., the problem, that is now it is now selling us the solution to. That is how some businesses operate. It can be a very tough thing to look at, that you kind of go, well, you've created the problem and you're providing the solution, but you could have kept operating how you were before. Could have just sold physical games here. It is a tough thing. So it's like this story from Destructoid. I'm going to throw that link into the chat on the platforms, because if you're there and reading, check it out. It's a strange element to consider, that potentially Sony could go down this path. But that is part of the risk of allowing a transition to a digital future, with it being the only option. As I said at the start of this stream, I have all the respect for everyone who wants a physical copy of a game. I don't ever think that customers should have choice removed. If you're going to remove a choice, you need to replace it with something so good that makes people go, yeah, I'm willing to have that value bettered. Now, to a degree, if you were to look at Steam in Australia, PC games, when they were sold in storefront, in physical store locations, EB Games, JB Hi-Fi, Target, everything else, your bigger retailers, the equivalent of our Walmarts, would be selling games at around anywhere between about $89 to $109. Steam tends to sell most of their brand new games into the Australian market at anywhere between 89 to 99 AUD. That is better than what we were getting before. So there is that little bit of money that's saved, but it's not a complete, it doesn't feel like there's been that balance off. It's gotten a little cheaper, and there is that kind of reduction in cost. Unless Sony are going to go that route, I don't know how they're going to sell a digital future without either eating a big bucket of crow and admitting that maybe, okay, we need to do better. We need to offer more. We need to do more. The security of their stores and their accounts and everything else is one thing a lot of people have mentioned. Obviously talking about Colin Moriarty and the fact that his account was hacked, but he's the person going, well, I'm still all digital. It's like, dude, you almost lost your fucking account and you got it back because you were able to create enough of a stink. Not everybody has that point, and all due respect, yes, they've hired fraud experts and they're trying to tighten their systems. That doesn't change the fact that someone socially engineered your account with a general idea of who you are and a purchase that you made across that period of time. Unless you're tightening those restrictions for people to be able to gain access back to their accounts, and developing good two-factor authentication. Oh, we have the dog. Hello, Coda. The risk of losing an account is losing thousands, for some people, I think even tens of thousands of dollars worth of games and everything that they love. There has to be the balancing of the scales there. I think it will happen, but I'm wondering if it is going to be a Sony decision that they respect the players, respect the response, and make those moves, or if it is going to be someone else out there, whether it's Steam, like Valve, going, hey, if you're not happy with what they're doing, this is what we're doing to improve our things. This is what we're going to do to make our system better, our offerings better. Come to PC. Is Xbox with the Positron update apparently sometime this week, from all indications seem to be. Is that going to then create a bubble of people going, these guys are respecting my physical copies? Piper, no. I've got a border collie jumping at me, and I'm just about to finish up in any case, so she can just wait. The through line, I think, is that, my God, this collie is so so noisy. The through line, I think, has to be that it's scary enough that out there we've all had accounts hacked and everything else, but it's a real worry that your hobby, something you spend money in, is going to... Sorry, I'm trying to balance this and still speak into the mic while giving dogs treats. Not the easiest thing. Need more flexible arms. The through line has to be that players feel that they're getting the better deal, that they're being respected, that they're being heard. Yes, Sony has had issues of arrogance in the past, and while I would generally say history always repeats, I am cautiously optimistic and hoping that they would understand and go, the last time that we did not speak to our customers humbly, hearing them, understanding them, and working towards solutions which they felt that they were heard, respected, and understood. We announced the PlayStation 3 at $599 US. Piper, seriously. And that was almost a death knell for the biggest platform. Having a level of respect for your customers across anything, whether you're doing good, bad, whether it's good for the business, bad for the business, if your customers feel heard and respected, Jesus, this is what you get for trying to stream with a border collie. you've always got to at least, you've got to respect your customers and say, we hear you. And if you're not going to change anything, which, let's be honest, Sony could come out and just go, we hear you. However, we've already changed our production pipelines for Sony DMCA, which is their disc manufacturing operation in Austria, where we're already broken the machinery down. We are changing our position. We're changing our manufacturing. You know, we hear you, we understand, but this is the decision to help our business grow. And these are the steps where physical is no longer something we are capable of doing because it creates too much of a gap between how much we spend to how much we make. If you came out and you're at least honest with it, customers will feel respected. They may not agree. They may go elsewhere, but they will always be willing to come back in if you're honest with them. And I think that ultimately needs to be, if they're not going to change, they need to just say it. But every day that they go by where they don't say anything and they continue to try to business as usual, there's the bigger risk that the Don Matrick, for the customers who don't have an internet connection, we've got a product for you. It's called an Xbox 360. That will potentially be the meme that is invoked every single time Sony says anything from this point onwards. If you don't address it and deal with it, and at least go, we hear you, we're not changing our plans, they are what they are, you know, sorry, but that's the way it is. If you don't say that, then your customers are just going to sit and clown on you every single time you announce a brand new game, and they're going to go, oh yeah, I'll buy that at your exorbitantly overcharged digital market prices. No. And it may not change the casual gamer. The casual gamer is going to keep playing Fortnite and Roblox and everything else on a PlayStation. But for everyone else, it just has that risk. Way too many titans have been bought down by hubris. Like, did anybody think that, you know, like Pirate Software back in 2024 was riding high? Did anybody have on their bingo card that he would get like the WoW raid issue, and then the diving into his history would absolutely near fucking wipe him out? No, because it's thought, oh, well, that person's got such a big following and everything else. Certainly these things aren't going to hurt them. The moment that you show arrogance and I can never do wrong to a fan base, a customer base, there's always that risk that someone's just going to go, nah, fuck you. Fuck you, I'll go elsewhere. And I suppose that's really about it. Been streaming, yeah, just over an hour and a half. So that's kind of it for the Tuesday. It's actually been relatively quiet in gaming news. That cryptocurrency story was sent through to me by a friend, and it's an interesting something rather. Now, obviously, cryptocurrencies and everything else, I think people are going to be very cautious of. And the high likelihood that they do it, and people just go, I'm not going to buy fucking PlayStation Dogecoin to buy my PlayStation games. It may help for some overseas markets and some of those people out there, but I don't see a general user base really jumping to it. I couldn't see why, unless you're going to be like, well, if you buy $50 of our Dogecoin, we'll give you $55 of Dogecoin instead. You start transacting it like Fortnite currency bundles. Maybe, you know, maybe that's the way to be able to do it. but we'll call it about there. So thank you very much, Gaming with Passion. Thank you very much for dropping by. I appreciate it. And I am hoping that everyone has a great day. I'll probably be back on Thursday. I'm hoping that there is not some amazingly broad and terrible gaming news that occurs from then. I'm hoping that I heard through a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. I'm just keeping it vague. That some stuff for some of those Microsoft studios is still being worked out. Like the agreements are there, but terms or bits and pieces are being done. I say take that with a grain of salt. I think most of the sales and those bits and pieces are what they are. They're done, and that's all there is. So we'll be back on Thursday night. I don't know what we'll do for games. We shall see. All right. So until next time, thanks very much.